Talk to me, Majestic talks. Come and talk to me. Talk to me, Majestic talks. Come and talk to me. Majestic talks. Come and talk to me.
Welcome to the Majestic Talk Show with our host and guests on faith, healing, and wholeness. Coach Latasha Morgan,
Coach Edward Hammett, Dr. Toni Stackhouse,
Hello there, and welcome to the Majestic Talk Show. I'm Latasha Morgan, certified Christian life coach, certified professional life coach, board certified master Christian mental health coach, and a whole lot of other goodish, y'all. I've had an amazing day, and I pray that you have had an amazing day as well. I also pray that every day to come is even greater and more amazing than the one before. We have an awesome show for you tonight. Tonight, we're going to be talking about hard work, emotional weight, trauma, fatigue, and the pressure we carry. Listen, we're talking about something that many people feel but rarely name. Emotional weight, not physical injury, not visible trauma, but the kind that settles quietly in your chest, in your shoulders, in your sleep, in your tone. Proverbs chapter 4, verse 23 says, guard your heart, for everything flows from it. But what happens when the heart is already heavy? But hold on, wait a moment. Before we go any further, I want to welcome our guests. We have Dr. Toni Stackhouse tonight and Coach Hammett, Edward Hammett. Let's welcome them to the show. Hi, Dr. Stackhouse. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm blessed. Tell the audience who you are and what you do.
All right. I'm Dr. Toni Boulware Stackhouse. As Miss Latasha just stated, I am a counseling psychologist and I have my own practice in the Maryland area. I have an office in Bel Air, Maryland, and then I have an office in Owens Mills. And we provide mental health services for individuals, families, and couples experiencing trauma, anxiety, depression, and some other mental distresses. Our specialty is I am certified to provide services for people who have experienced trauma. And also we do a lot of highlighting for our caregivers. We provide a lot of services for caregivers. So that's who I am and that's what I do. I am a wife. My husband is a retired veteran. I have one child who is grown, married I have two grandsons. A fun fact about me is I love football and the Ravens is my team.
Oh, well, thank you so much for being here. It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank
And
you.
we thank you for being here because there are many places you could have been, but you decided to take your time to be with us tonight. So I really do appreciate it. Thank you and welcome to the Majestic Talk Show.
Thank you for the invitation to share with you today.
You're welcome. Hi, Coach Edward. How are you?
I'm doing well. I appreciate the opportunity of being with you tonight.
Thank you. I appreciate you being here. Tell us who you are and what you do.
I live in Greenville, South Carolina now. I served in local churches and denominational life. I taught seminary for a while. I've worked with government officials and business entrepreneurs in a coaching capacity. And now I live in a senior adult living community where I'm a coach in residence here. So I am getting the full scope of life and the full opportunity of stretching my faith and stretching my skills. And it's been a lot of fun.
Well, awesome. And again, thank you so much for being here. I really do appreciate your time. And I know that this show is going to help someone, whether they're listening now or listen later, but it's going to help someone with their lives. So let's get started with segment one, caring more than we admit. I want to paint a picture for you. This is a fictional story, of course, but it may feel familiar to you. Her name is Renee. Renee wakes up before her alarm. Her jaw is tight. Her chest already feels heavy. Her phone lights up before the sun rises. Emails, messages, needs. She makes breakfast, encourages her child, leads a meeting, checks on her mother, serves in ministry. She's strong. She's dependable. She is admired, but she hasn't exhaled in years. At night, when the house is quiet, she sits at the kitchen table in the dark, scrolling, not because she wants to. No, but it's because silence feels loud. She doesn't fall apart. She doesn't cry. She doesn't break down. She just keeps carrying. And here's what's sobering. According to the American Psychological Association, over 75% of adults report physical or emotional symptoms of stress regularly, but most still function, still perform, still show up, and still serve. Coach Hammett, what happens when someone lives in that holding it together space for years?
Well, the symptoms you described are pretty accurate, I would say. A lot of times people feel weary, they're anxious most of the time, their lack of focus comes in and out of their life, and that confuses people around them. Their temperament is on edge oftentimes. But then you've got the walking person who you would never know is carrying that heavy load, but it's eating their insides. They have ulcers, they have heart issues, they have migraine headaches. All kind of symptoms could come from that, but it is possible to move from that. I was curious at the opening. I'm an open heart surgery patient. I've had open heart surgery, and I can tell you from that experience, stress put me there, but the release and the understanding that came from that surgery was transformational. And that's what really got me into life coaching and career coaching as a career, to help people move from their frustrations and fears to a stage of fulfillment and fun again.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, I get that. I understand. That's good. Dr. Stackhouse, when someone suppresses emotion long term, grief, frustration, disappointment, what begins happening beneath the surface?
Sure, over a long period of time, all types of things begin to happen. There is a book entitled When We Experience Trauma, Our Body Keeps the Score. And so what happens is when we suppress things, we are internally feeling them. And so what happens is our body starts to process what that is. We were created to release how we feel when we are experiencing things. And so when we don't release it, our bodies feel the impact. And so people experience different things: high blood pressure, strokes. Coach Edward talked about having some heart distress. Our organs, our bodies, in a lot of ways, feel the impact of the emotional distress that we don't emote when we were created to emote it. So long term effects can have very damaging impact on our bodies. Emotionally, like having emotional breakdowns, right? Our bodies breaking down in different ways. It can happen in different ways, but having that over long periods of time, it can compile, it can be compounding, right? You can have a number of experiences in your physical body. Because, like as I said before, we were created to emote. That means we need to release how we
Mhm.
feel, good, bad, or indifferent. We were created to talk about it. We were created to cry when we feel sad, or sometimes we cry when we feel joy. Even being able to talk to somebody about how you feel makes a difference. And so we have to make sure that we do what we need to do to get those emotions out and express them, even with journaling, just to get it out, because the long-term effects on our bodies sometimes they are not reversible.
Oh, yeah, yeah. But that, you know, so many times though, we've been taught to hold, not let everybody in our business. And a lot of times we've been told, you know, you're strong, you can take it, you can take it, and it's okay. You can just move forward, don't even worry about it, but don't put anybody in your business, honey. They're gonna tell everything. And then there are people who have told people their business, and then all of it got out. So they can't trust anyone. So what would you tell that person?
So I would talk to that person about their experience, and I would validate their feelings about their experience, because it is true that if you thought you had somebody that you could trust, and you shared your innermost secrets or your feelings or an experience that you had, and they shared it with others, that's really bad. That's a violation of trust. It's a violation of a number of things. And so I will help the person to talk about how they feel that the person did that to them. I will also talk to them about um, how did they discover that this person was the one that they could share their experience with? Did they talk about? Sometimes you have to say to people, "I would prefer if you not share this information." So I will ask that the person say to the person that I didn't want you to share the information, and kind of talk about how did they kind of vet the person to determine that that was the one, and help them to recover from that, because helping them to understand that everybody is not like that. Everybody would not share their business. And then there are other ways, like you can journal, and that has a certain level of impact for you to get things out. The other thing is to go and get professional help, because professional people are held by licensure and ethical boards, and so they wouldn't be able to share your experience. I always say to clients, your time in therapy is your time. It's a non-judgment zone, and this information don't go anywhere unless you say that you are a danger to yourself or someone else. And so those are the things that, but I would definitely help them process the experience of how they felt when they felt like the person violated them by sharing their experience. I will also help them to see if we could recover from that. I think in different seasons of our lives, we might have all had somebody share information that wasn't theirs to share. And at some point in our life, we got to be able to try to recover and trust again, and find somebody that we really can trust. And sometimes that might have to be a professional person. And like I said, the other thing is you could do journaling. And the young people you can find, the phones do wonderful things, right? You can
Mhm.
journal, you could speak journaling in your phone if you have an iPhone. I don't know about the other. I'm sure the other ones like Android have the same applications, but you can speak into your recorder and it'll transcribe it for you, or you can write it right in your phone. I like to journal in my phone because my phone is always with me, and sometimes I might go to a doctor's appointment and I can sit while I'm waiting and I can journal. So it makes it more personal because you can do it at a moment's notice. So just some things to help you get beyond that horrible experience of somebody sharing your information when they shouldn't have.
Yeah, yeah, journaling, yeah. But I've been in that moment though too, just like the story where you doing so much and you just don't want to, and you just feel like you can be strong enough to get through it. And when I did that, I didn't have any heart problems, Coach Edward, but I did high blood pressure, and then I was just so tired. Just tired.
Fatigue,
Yeah,
fatigue, emotional fatigue.
I was just, and it showed up in my body too. It was like I was sleeping. It would be on
Yes.
Saturday, I would be asleep the whole day, the
Your body is
whole
going to keep
day.
that score on
Yeah.
that trauma on your body.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I agree with everything, and I really do. I understand and get even the story that was read, because we often, especially women, we do that all the time. And especially working in the church, you feel like you need to help everybody. And as coaches and psychologists in the mental health area, we are here to help people. So we just sometimes we forget about ourselves. So, Coach Edward, has that ever happened to you, or can you speak to that person in the mental health field who feels that way, that I just gotta help?
Oh yeah. I've worked with a lot of pastors and a lot of caregiving people who have faced burnout many times in their career by overdoing it in their career and not paying attention to their own body and their own psyche and their own emotion and their own spirit. They help everybody else, but they don't help themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And that eventually will burn them out. And burnout in the ministry these days is at escalated heights. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's just amazing and frightening at the same time. Same is true in the medical field right now. I've got some people in the hospital now, and I was talking to a nurse the other day, and she was telling me all the stuff that was going on in the medical nursing profession, that they're just dropping like flies, she said, because the work schedule is unreal. The emotional taxation on their mental state and emotional state and body is just outweighing everything. My own personal physician, the other day, we were having a conversation, and he was saying, you know, I'm just wore out. I'm just wore out. And I said, so where did that come from? It's been coming for a long time. Well, have you paid attention to it? No, but it's paying attention to me now, he said. And
Mm-hmm.
the coach in me said, so what are you going to do differently now? Now that you're aware of it, and part of a coaching profession is raising the awareness and connecting the dots for people sometimes, because we live such fast lives, we don't connect the dots and we don't make the connections, and we get out of alignment spiritually, emotionally, physically, relationally. And when that happens, our body speaks. And if we don't pay attention to it, we end up with a heart attack. Now,
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
my heart issues was related to genetic stuff, but I was under a lot of stress too, because I was working in a church environment at the time and doing a lot of writing at the time and traveling at the time. And, you know, you want to help as many people who want you to help them, but I had to find my boundaries. So I don't
Absolutely.
travel anymore. I do Zoom and I do these experiences, and I coach people by phone and Zoom, but I don't travel anymore. That's a
Mm-hmm.
boundary.
That's
Boundaries are
good.
really good for people that provide services to other people,
Absolutely.
especially in the healthcare industry. I feel like the healthcare industry is the only industry that when the world shut down for the pandemic,
Yes.
they were not able to shut down. And I don't think they have recovered from then until now. And that's why we see the great bleed that is happening with the healthcare industry.
I agree with you. I
Yeah.
did a Zoom conference call with a group of physicians during the pandemic. Um, they had come to me individually, and they were just all trying to make sense of the chaotic world they were living in.
Hmm.
And so I invited them to come together in a Zoom meeting, and we met for 15 minutes and just kind of affirmed that it was okay to feel the way they were feeling, and
Mhm.
also to ask them some questions that might help them move beyond that. And we'd come back the next week and talk about what worked and what didn't work. It was great.
Yeah, that's good. And it's good that you were talking about burnout because that's what we're going to talk about in the next segment when strength becomes silent suffering. So let me give you a picture, paint a picture for you.
Okay.
Marcus, he's respected, he's responsible, he's spiritual. He says, I'm blessed. I say that all the time. But he hasn't slept deeply in months. His patience is thinner. His joy is quieter. His prayer feels mechanical. He scrolls at night because feels loud. He stays busy because quiet feels unsafe. He says he's tired, but it's not the kind of tired sleep fixes. The World Health Organization now recognizes burnout as a global phenomenon. Recent studies show nearly 60% of adults report emotional exhaustion weekly. We normalize the phrases like, I'm drained, I'm overwhelmed, I just need a break. Oh, I say that a lot. But what if it's deeper than tired? Dr. Stackhouse, when someone says, I'm just tired, what might really be happening emotionally?
Dealing with a lot or on emotional overload. Again, when we don't take the time to refresh ourselves, to restore ourselves, then we get to a place where we are living in a space of exhaustion. And that's really beyond tired. That is that's really Coach Edward was talking about our body speaking to us, right? That's really the alarm that says I need to stop and I need to take some rest, get some rest so that I can be restored. And I think a lot of times that's what we forget to do on a regular basis that prevents us from getting to the place of tired or exhaustion or burnout, right? We don't listen to ourselves. And I always say to people all the time, like we drive cars, we got to go and get we got to go to the gas station and get gas on a regular basis, right? If you were to omit going to the gas station, which I love to do, my car is always on E because I hate going to the gas station. And my dad always said, you got to get gas, you got to keep it. Well, I don't, but I always go when I absolutely have to, just before I know I'm getting ready to run out of gas. No matter what car I'm driving, I know how many miles I can go, even when my light come on, because I don't want to go to the gas station. That is dangerous to even drive your car in that kind of condition. But yet and still, a lot of us drive our bodies like that.
Yeah.
We drive our
Hmm.
bodies like they are machines like that, like they're going to keep going and keep going and going without us having periods of rest. The Bible often talks about us resting and getting rest. And we always, especially those of us who help in the church, in the healthcare, whatever, God is supernatural. We like to think that we are, and we're not. We are human. And we got to remember that even when we operating in our gifts as healers and helpers, that we have to care for ourselves. Self-care is not an indictment. Sometimes we feel like that's a limitation if I got to go and get rest, or that's an indictment on my skills or my gifts or whatever. And we got to understand it's not. It's really, you are doing yourself a great service if you provide service for people, if you make sure that you have a regular plan to care for yourself and make sure that you get proper rest and you're eating right and you are taking the time off that you need, so that you can be restored, whatever that restoration for you looks like. Because all of us have a different thing that restores us, right? Whatever that is, we got to make sure that we implement it on a regular basis, because the longevity of that, that's why we see people breaking down. We
Yeah.
seeing people depressed. We seeing
Hmm.
people with anxiety, and we seeing all of that translate into medical problems. And then now, when you broken down, you cannot provide service for anybody, not even yourself, because you have gone beyond like That's the car breaking down because I've gone beyond the gas stations multiple times.
Mm-hmm.
When the car was saying, I need gas, I was keep on going. When our bodies send us those same signals, we constantly ignore them. That's what causes our bodies to break down. We were only created to do a certain number of things, and God intentionally included rest in that. And we do rest the least
Mm-hmm.
when we should be doing it the most.
Right. Exactly. I
But
know.
Coach Edwards said it best as it relates to setting them boundaries. We got to be able to set boundaries. He used to travel and go and see people, and he said, "Well, I can help people, but I need to set a boundary. I won't travel anymore. I will see you virtually, or you can come to me." That's the kind of things that we need to implement that makes us well. We need to say to people, this is how I can do what I can do to help you if I'm able to save myself. So what he was doing was saying, I got to save myself. And in order for me to save myself, even though I know I'm still supposed to help people, I just got to set a boundary. And that's something we think is a bad word.
Mm-hmm.
Boundaries. We think that if we set a boundary, it's not a good thing, but it's a good thing for us and the people that depend on us. Because the other thing is we provide help for people, and then we won't let that help. The people go and take that help to help them, because then we want to be involved even in that. And once you've given the people the tools, let them go and let it work for itself.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
and we can take a step back. We don't have to be involved in it at every level. um, we gotta set those boundaries and stick to those boundaries. Sometimes people set them and then we don't follow them, right? So we gotta set them, we gotta follow them, and of course the other people are going to give us resistance as it relates to when we set boundaries. But we gotta push back and say, no, this is my boundary, and we gotta hold fast to it.
And that's why a lot of people don't set the boundaries because
Yeah.
they're afraid of what somebody is going to say, what they're going to think, and how they're going to feel. But for me personally, I don't really be caring. But
You can't care, because if you do care, that means you care more about what they say or what they think than what. Because the boundary was to save you. It was to
mhm,
set a boundary to protect you. So now
mhm.
you're putting what they feel and what they think ahead of what you need for you. So and you can't do it. We can't do it.
And I've found out that setting those boundaries and living by those boundaries and letting other people know about the boundaries is a real healthy role model for mentoring other people in what boundaries look like. Because a lot of times, if we don't live by the boundaries we set, that's a very unhealthy way of helping other people. But if we set the boundary and live within the boundary and communicate them effectively, it's a great mentoring tool for what healthy living looks like.
That's true. But then it also has an effect on our relationship with God.
Oh, sure.
How is that, Coach Edward?
Well, one of the scriptures that I really unpack frequently in my own life and in seminars and workshops that I do is be still and know that I am God. Be
Mm-hmm.
still. Didn't say be busy, it said be still. And when you be still, you know about him, you know about God, you know about yourself. But if you're not still, you don't have that knowledge. So in the chaotic world we're in, busy as we all are, being still is a skill we need to learn to develop. And in the book that I just did on coaching as spiritual practice, it's all about raising our awareness of the consequence of a busy life and a chaotic life. And how do we learn the skill of being still and leaning into that peaceful place of restoration, that peaceful place of beside the still waters that restores my soul.
Mm-hmm.
Those are skills we're having to learn. And so learning to create those safe and sacred spaces for building healthy relationships is a skill, I think, for the 21st century world.
Yeah. Because I've noticed that a lot of times, I think a lot of times the reason people are failing as it relates to ministry is the lack of time with God because they are so busy.
That's right.
And if you continuously to be so busy, it'll show up and you'll be in stuff you have no business being in.
No
That's
business.
right.
Because they're not being still, they can't hear God.
I was going to say, yes, you can't hear nothing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
How are you giving? How are you pouring out when you haven't gotten restored, refreshed?
I
Yeah,
often use the phrase pain pushes, vision pulls, and fear paralyzes.
Hmm.
And oftentimes that's where faith begins to crack, relationships begin to crack. When we push and push and push and push, and that pain starts to take over, whether it's physical pain or emotional pain or spiritual pain, it pushes us into panic. And if we don't figure out a healthy way to get out of the panic, then the fear takes over and it paralyzes us. And oftentimes we go into analysis paralysis and go into our head and we miss our heart. We don't ever go to our heart again. We're all stuck in our head trying to figure out all the pieces of the puzzle that we're trying to move around and protect ourselves.
Mhm.
But the peace that passes all understanding and is in the solitude. And it's learning to create and lean into those quiet, safe, and sacred spaces.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Yeah. Because that's what I want someone who's listening to understand that business can be a great hindrance to your purpose. It can be a hindrance to your relationship with God. And if you don't stop and you get into something you know you shouldn't be in, that's because you didn't take the time to listen.
Yep.
So, segment number 3, the courage to release it. Danielle, she's parked in her driveway, engine off, hands gripping the steering wheel. She doesn't want to go inside, but not because she doesn't love her family, but because she has nothing left. Her shoulders ache, her eyes burn, her thoughts won't slow down, and she whispers, I can't keep doing this. For the first time, she admits she is overwhelmed. Romans 12 and 2 says, Be transformed by the renewing of your mind. But renewal begins with honesty. Research shows people who regularly process emotions experience lower long term stress symptoms than those who suppress them. So, how do we begin laying it down? Step 1, tell the truth. To heal, you have to tell the truth. So, Dr. Stackhouse, what shifts when someone finally says, I'm not okay?
that's a major shift, right? That's a major shift for a person to get to a place after they've been going and going and going and going to say, I'm not okay. That's a major shift because, as you stated earlier, culturally, people who are in the helping profession, whether it's the church, whether it's the healthcare industry, no matter what it is, it's not culturally acceptable to say, I'm not okay. So, a lot of times, by the time a person gets to the point where they can honestly admit to themselves and admit to others, they have gone through a process that have gotten them there. And usually it's by crisis. Like maybe I go to the doctor and I get a diagnosis because I've been going and going and going and going. And now that I got to face this reality, I am no longer able to say that I'm not okay. Right. So I can't
Hmm.
keep saying, I'm okay, I got this, I got this, I got this. I get to a point of breaking down, and now I have to face these challenges to say, I'm not okay. And that's one of the things that we have to do, all of us, as a part of the culture, the church culture and the healthcare industry and mental health, whatever. We have to set the example to say that it is okay for you not to be okay. We are all human beings. It would be something crazy for us not to be okay. I don't even know how we got to this place where it's not okay not to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's a dangerous place for us all to be, for us not to understand our own humanity and our own limitations. It is a dangerous place to be. And it leads to a place of crisis, whether it's a mental breakdown or a physical breakdown, some type of way, it's going to cause a breakdown if you continue on that road. Sometimes, not as often as others. Sometimes people do get to that place before they have some type of crisis, which is wonderful. But a lot of times it's because of something else that has happened because I have continued to go on and on and on. And now I have no choice but to say, I'm not okay. And it is courageous to say that, but how can we get there sooner? How can we get to a place where we understand our humanity, we understand our limitations, and we don't see it as an indictment of, oh, I must not be a good pastor if I can't do all of these things, or I must not be a good therapist if I can't do all of these things, right? We all have limitations, and we have to be okay with those limitations. And
And
Right.
so,
even Paul said, "This one thing I do, this one
yes,
thing I
this
do."
one
So
thing.
that's the role of a coach sometimes, is that we can help focus the person and help them raise their awareness of what has been working for them and what has
It has
not been
not.
working for them.
Absolutely.
And once we make those connections, then they begin to see they're living out of balance. But until we pause them long enough to do that exercise, they just keep running on this hamster wheel and they eventually burn themselves out. But creating that, I call it a pregnant pause in the busyness of life. When we create that pause, pregnancy begins to birth things that come to new awareness in the head and in the heart. And then we try to connect the head and the heart together, and that moves the client forward.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Step two, guard the heart. Guarding your heart doesn't mean isolation, it means boundaries. So, what does guarding your heart look like in everyday life? Coach Edward.
I think the first thing is we become aware of what's working and what's not working and make some hard decisions. And that builds a protection around the heart. And then it creates a roadmap for our prayer life.
Mm-hmm.
And that prayer brings strength, it brings a community of people around us to help us live within that focus that we've declared is where we need to go now.
That's good. So, step three, slow down. Sometimes what we call a spiritual attack is actually emotional exhaustion. Now, let that sink in. Because a lot of times we are always looking, we always want to blame the devil for something when it's really us. So, Dr. Stackhouse, what happens emotionally and physically when someone never slows down?
It's just a cycle. It's a cycle where we keep going, and a lot of times what slows people down is crisis. I'm gonna go back to that. It's always something physically, because think about it. Just like the car eventually has to go to the gas station, our bodies eventually has to rest. We were created to rest, and when we don't, whether it could be a short amount of time or a long amount of time, and all of us are different. If we keep on going and keep on going, we're going to break down. Exhaustion and burnout is going to get us. And so we have to not allow ourselves to get to that place. And
Yeah,
that's our responsibility, because think about it. People will come to us to get what they need from us, right? Until we set the boundary to say, I've done enough. This is my limit for today, or this is my limit for. We got to set the boundaries and the limitations, because we are human. I can't stress that enough. We seem like we want to operate beyond ourselves, beyond who we are. And sometimes that makes us feel better about ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
or what
Mm-hmm.
we attribute that to, um make us feel confident and build us up or whatever, but really it's breaking us down because it's not what God intended for us to do. It wasn't what God intended us to be. There's so many scriptures in the Bible that talk about rest. And it's unbelievable that we haven't gotten that vision for our lives, that we should be a people that rest. And I'm not just talking about sleep. We need to take times, seasons where we need to say, I'm going to rest. I'm going to be restored. I'm going to take some time away so that I can be still and I can be quiet and God can speak to me and refuel me and I can empty out all of the things that I have collected on my way while I'm helping people. Because that's the other thing too. When we help people, we are taking their stuff. How do we unload that, right? How do you unload somebody coming and dropping their crisis on you? How do we unload that and have a regular uh, process for how we unload that? And you got to be aware of how you receive that. Like I do therapy. I got to be mindful. Like certain clients I don't take in the evenings because that if they have heavy stuff, then I'm gonna go home and take that home and I don't have time to process it and I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
be a certain way. And then shortly after that, I'm gonna go to bed and I'm gonna be carrying that.
Mm-hmm.
So certain clients I don't even take in the evening because I know I need time to unload that. So you gotta know yourself and you gotta know that you whatever you doing to help people, you taking that in. And so what is your process for releasing that? If not, you are carrying it.
Yeah, yeah. And then we won't have to worry about saying that everything is the devil's fault, right?
We won't have to worry about saying this or that because I'm like you said, I'm that's self-imposed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I'm responsible for me. God entrusted me with this temple, so I am responsible for it. Regardless of what lie he the devil may tell you, it's still on you, and I don't
It's
care,
still on you. It's
it's
still
still
on you.
on you.
Yeah.
So,
And I agree, we give him more credit than he deserved because a lot of stuff
right.
that we're dealing with ain't him. It's
Yeah.
us.
Yeah, it is. We don't take care of ourselves. And I mean, we're
Mhm.
all guilty of that. I'm
We
guilty of that.
all are.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think it's a lifetime. It is a lifetime of perfecting because I think that whatever we do in different seasons of our life, will require a different way of caring for me.
Yeah.
Like I
Mhm.
just turned 55. I'm getting to that age where it's like I need more time to rest and
Mhm.
relax. Like when I was younger, I could go and go and go. Now it's like I need more. So whatever season you in, you got to be aware of that and you got to know what you need in that season because what you needed in the last season won't help in this season.
That's right. That's right. So, step 4, rewrite the narrative. Many
Yeah.
people are carrying lies like, I have to do it all. I can't say no. Rest is weakness, but scripture says something totally different from that. So,
Mhm.
Coach Hammett, how does scripture help someone replace those lies with truth?
Again, I would go to awareness. We got to know what's not working and what's working. But then I often use the acrostic of a reframing and retooling. Um, we've got to learn to lay things down. Scripture always talks about letting things go and laying things down.
Mm-hmm.
Got to be willing to do that. And a lot of people don't want to make anybody mad, so they keep
Mm-hmm.
carrying their stuff with them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's about letting go. And there's 4 stages in disciple making in scripture, and we don't have time to go through all those. But come and see, come follow me, come be with me, and abide in me are the
Mm-hmm.
4 disciple making phases in scripture. Each phase has its own season, to use uh, seasonal language. And we've got to figure out what season we're in as a maturing believer and what we need in that season to move us to the next level. And sometimes we have to let things go in order to pick something up for the next stage of the journey, or to lighten our load because the journey is going to be uphill and we need a lighter tote bag. So, those four phases of disciple making, I think, are critical pieces when it comes to biblical guidance at helping us unpack and move forward in our faith formation.
Okay, yeah, yeah, that's true. If we abide in Christ, we're resting, right? So, yeah, that would work. That would make sense. But if,
We abide in him, he abides in us.
mm-hmm,
We don't abide in him, he don't abide in us.
that's right. And that's why we had the problems we have then.
That's right.
and
Absolutely.
and obviously we're not doing enough abiding. Um, because we are having so many, especially in the church, we have so many problems going on. So we're not abiding. And if we get back to abiding, Coach Edward, if that's what you're saying, then I think everything else will work out a little better. So, step 5, the last step, is don't heal alone. Galatians tells us to bear one another's burdens, but pride says handle it yourself. Now, I'm going to ask this question to both of you. Why is a safe community so essential in healing emotional fatigue? Because see, sometimes we want to handle things on our own. So why is that so it's so important that we have a community,
Well, I think as humans, we were created for community,
right?
community with each other, community
Mhm.
with God.
Mhm.
So we can't live an isolated life and survive in this crazy world. And then it goes back to what is it that creates that safe and sacred space for you?
Mhm.
It's different for everybody. And we often think it's just church on Sunday morning or the sanctuary, but there are a lot of places that are sacred and safe places for meaningful conversations and for Bible study and for reflection on the chaos that's going on, so that we can unpack what's come to be heavy in our heart. But if we don't ever pause, we never unpack, and we just keep adding more and more to the journey, and eventually it breaks down.
Dr. Stackhouse?
I agree. God created us to be relational. Everything he does through relationships. We cannot be isolated. That's a trick of the enemy for us to be isolated and feel like we can handle things on our own. And I think that's a trauma response. I think that's a response to someone who has had relationships go bad, right? And not able to have not been able to recover from that. And so I think that we just need to find our community, and we all have a community, whether it's the community that God created you to be related to by blood, or if it's your spiritual community, because we also have family and friends that God connects us to, that we don't share the same blood, but we share the same heart, nonetheless. And so, whatever your community, whoever your community consists of, you need to remain connected in that way. And healing comes from that, right? When we see people that we are connected to not doing well, we come to their aid, right? We come and see about people. And all of us, because we are created in the image of God, we are healing agents. And so relationships just bring about the natural healing that needs to take place when we are connected to people that we supposed to be connected to. So I think it is all of us being responsible to each other, being accountable to each other, and being good to the people that you are connected to, meaning making sure that you are sensitive to the needs of those people. Sometimes people aren't saying verbally, I need help, right? But they are saying that they need help. But are we paying attention? Are we paying
Mhm.
attention to the people that we say we love? Sometimes you got to call and check on people if you feel like people aren't moving the way that they normally would, or if something seems off. Just taking the extra time to say, hey, I'm just checking in. I noticed you weren't your normal jovial self. Is everything okay? Just those kind of things that make people feel loved when they're not having a good day or good season. Um, so just being accountable, and being who God created us to be in the communities that He has connected us to, being a good steward over that.
That's amazing. That's good. Yeah, we do have, like you said, Coach Edward, we are created for community. I tell people that all the time, and we need one another. Um, but sometimes you just want to be on your own. Like me, I like being by myself.
And that's
But
okay.
yeah, but I found that I need other people too.
But I think being by yourself has its purpose in our lives, right?
Mm-hmm.
There are
Right.
seasons that we're called to do that. But I think in generally speaking, even though you like to be alone, I believe that you have some people, if you don't want to be by yourself, that you could call and
Mm-hmm.
trigger some relational stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that that it's okay. It's just to be able to have that person that you can call and say, "Hey, I need you." Sometimes you hearing people voice. You make a phone call and you hearing people voice. I'm on the way. You don't even gotta say nothing else.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, I have people I call. I call my sisters now since both of my parents are no longer alive. So I call them. I talk to them.
Mhm.
They mostly talk to me, but
Well, listen, we all have an innate desire to be seen and to be heard. And
Mhm.
hopefully, in our communities, somebody is seeing us and they are hearing us. I have my mom, she does this thing. I usually talk to my mom a couple of times a week. When I go through bad seasons, I usually shut down and I'm quiet. And my mother will send me a text and say, I would not have said anything to her, but she'll say something like, what's going on? You quiet.
Mhm.
And I'm like, how she know I'm quiet? And it's like, yeah, you got to be connected to people that see you and hear you, even if you don't say anything.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. So if you're listening, get into a community.
Yes.
It'll help you a lot.
Assess the community that you currently have so you
Mhm.
know who is the person that you can go to when you need that.
Mm.
Yeah. And it's okay to be like me and to want to be alone sometimes, but you need other people
Get your
too.
alone time. Definitely get your alone time, but don't stay alone. Don't stay alone.
Right. Yeah. That's true. I didn't say I stay alone all the time. I just like it.
I know. But look, I want you to get your alone time. I love it too. Ain't nothing
Yeah.
like going home and ain't nobody there. It's quiet. It's like, yes. Then all the noise come. It's like, oh my God.
Mhm.
Beside the still waters, he
Yes.
restores my soul.
Yes. I love it.
Amen. Sure. Yeah. So here's our activation moment for the people that are listening or who are going to listen. I want you to pause right now. Where do you feel the weight? In your chest, your sleep, your tone, your silence? What have you been carrying that God never assigned to you? Someone else's expectations, unspoken grief, fear of disappointing people. You don't have to carry everything. So pause, take a moment, and breathe and release it and let it go. Emotional weight does not mean you are weak. It means you are human. And scripture does not tell us to ignore the heart, it tells us to guard it. So, Dr. Toni Stackhouse and Coach Edward Hammett, thank you so much for coming for this conversation. I really enjoyed talking to you. I really did. I want you, before we finish, to tell people how they can get in touch with you. Dr. Stackhouse, you can go first.
Absolutely. So Life Matters Wellness, we have a website, www.lifematterswellness.com. And our number is 410-650-9910. Again, that's 410-650-9910. www.lifematters.com.
Okay. So everybody that's going to be listening, go ahead and make sure you get in touch with her if you need her. Because as you can tell, she's pretty good at her job. So Coach Hammett, tell everyone how they can get in touch with you.
Yeah, I have enjoyed being with you for sure. My personal website is transformingsolutions.org, transformingsolutions.org. And have authored 9 books that are out there that you can find on Amazon or on my personal website, and they all have my contact information as well. But I've enjoyed being with you, and I hope it's been as helpful to you as it has to me.
It has. I've enjoyed it. You see how excited I am? I've enjoyed it. I really have. I really have. But to everyone, I'm sorry, but now we have to go. So to everyone who's watching, if you feel heavy, if it may be time to lay something down. This has been the Majestic Talk Show, and I'm Latasha Morgan, certified Christian life coach, certified professional life coach, board certified master Christian mental health coach, and a whole lot of other goodies. I've had an amazing time talking to you both, and I look forward to talking to you again. So, good night, everyone. Until next time, guard your heart, honor your temple, and walk in wholeness. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Talk to me, Majestic talks. Come and talk to me. Talk to me.